my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a candle making tutorial. I'm going to show you guys how to make tie-dye candles in this video. It's going to be a just easy basic tutorial so you guys can make simple little candles at home. And yeah, okay y'all, so now we're ready to start. So all of the supplies that you will need is a pitcher for pouring your fragrance oil. You'll need a pitcher to pour your wax. I'm doing a melting pot. Some people do the double boil method, which is melting your wax in a pot of water, and you put your wax in here, set this in the water, and it'll gradually melt. But I upgraded to the melting pot, which is easier, it's faster, you can melt more candles at once. So those are 3 things you will need as far as pouring and melting. Then we have our fragrance oil, and the fragrance oil that I will be using is Sweater Weather. And we have our liquid dyes. So I do suggest wearing gloves with this. Now I only have some paper towels, but like using liquid dyes and as well as wax and fragrances, you want to just keep your hands clean or just be cautious because this liquid dye is super spilly. So I have my paper towels to grab certain things or whatever to keep them out the way. So yeah, you'll need your fragrance, your liquid dye, you will need some wick, and you need a jar, of course. So now that you have all your ingredients, you'll also need a thermometer. I really enjoy the digital thermometer just so you can know when you're pouring at a good temperature, because you always want to pour at the right temperature. Cutting wicks to trim your wick. Your wick is this stick that sits inside your jar that you light to burn your candle. You can also just use a classic thermometer, which I feel like doesn't work that good, but I like the digital. And spoons and wooden things, whatever you want to use to like mix your candles, I suggest having that as well. So we're going to get started now. And yeah, that was just introducing all of the products and stuff that you will need. So let's get started. Okay, so as far as when it comes to gluing your wick, I'm using a heat gun, which has the Gorilla Glue in it to stick the wick on there. So I'm gonna do an example to show you, and then the rest will be time lapse to speed up the process. So fill out a wick, and you also have to learn like the type of wicks that work better with your candles. It all depends on what type of fragrance you're using, what type of like heat. It depends on a lot, which can determine a good slow burn for your candle. You just have to play with it and really try different things out to know. So you have your glue on there, and you just take it and stick it in there. Now it can still be really warm, so I usually just take a pen and push the bottom of the wick down to mold it to that. Also, another trick is using wick holders. Now sometimes when you're pouring wax, the wick can get so hot that it'll lean over. So you want to get some different little wick holders to hold your candle stable, like this. And if you don't have that, I used to usually just use a little pin that has the head on the pin, so you just clip it, and you will clip it in between the wick to just hold it steady in place. So we're gonna get the rest of these wicked up, and then I'll get back with you. Okay, now that all of our candles are wicked up, we are now going to move on to the next process, which is melting. So I had forgot one important thing the most important thing that you will need in candle making, which is your wax. So I'm gonna be right back and grab the wax, and then we'll be back into the video. Okay, so I just turned on my melting pot and I got our wax. This wax is a cool wax. It's soy wax flakes and it's from Make Market, but I got this from Michael's. So Michael's is a store for creators. If you make candles, if you make paintings, if you make jewelry, they have a lot of different things, fabrics. They have a lot of different things there that are for like people with small businesses that are doing different stuff. So that's a good place. You can find like wax, fragrance oils, but not really in bulk, or like you won't have that variety. But you can definitely just run somewhere locally to get wax. This is usually when I get wax. When I'm like, I don't have time to wait for my ordered wax to come, I have to get some local wax. And I always get soy wax. That's one of the easier waxes to work with, and one of the, in my opinion, one of the cleanest waxes to work with is soy wax. So I do freehand my pouring sometimes because sometimes it don't be enough, but you can definitely get you you can definitely get a measure so that you can know what you're doing and know what you're pouring. So we're gonna wait for that to melt down, and we're gonna check the temperature on it, and I'll be back. So this is one of the weights that you can use to weigh your candle, weigh wax, or whatever. So that's one that I recommend. And while I wait for the wax to go down, I'm gonna put on my warning labels that you can get from any candle store that sells candle supplies. I recommend like Candle Science. And we're gonna put these on the bottom. Your candle will need these. Every single candle will need a warning label on how to, because there are rules with candles. You can't leave your candle burning past 3.5 or 4 hours at a time. You'll have to blow it out, let it cool completely, and if you want to relight it, that's cool, but you can't just have it lit for a very long time. I don't recommend a super long wick. Like when your wick is starting to mushroom and curl, you need to trim your wick so you can have a slow, even burn with your candle. Like you don't want a big giant pool with your candle, and you also don't want your candle to start tunneling in, which won't give you a great burn at all. So those are just you know, FYIs for people who don't know much about candles, or who buy candles and they let them burn completely out and never blow it out for the day. So our bottom of those candles are done being labeled, and now we wait. Okay, so as you guys can see, this is how your wax will look when it is completely melted. You cannot melt soy wax past a temperature of 225, really 200, but you can't go past like 200 to be on the safe side. And this is how your wax should look when it's all melted. You won't see any flakes. It'll be completely liquid. So I'm gonna grab my digital therm, cut that on, and I sometimes just drop it in there. And I'm gonna wait to see. And you're not supposed to leave it in there. So I'll wait until I see the temperature slowing down so I can know where I'm at with it before we pour our fragrance oils. So your fragrance oils temperature is really, really important, and your wax is gonna have to be below that temperature for you to get a strong scent to be still in your candle. Now, sometimes you can pour a little bit hotter than it. It won't completely kill the scent, but it's best to just wait. And the temperature on the Sweater Weather scent is 188 degrees Fahrenheit. And right now we're at 150, and the number seems to be slowing down, so we may be under it, just be able to pour our fragrance oil. which is perfect. As far as your liquid dyes, they don't have to be any temperature. You just be cautious on how much you put, because the more drops that you add, the darker the color will be for your candle. Okay, so the temperature is now going down. It stopped at around 155. So I am able to pour that because my temperature for my fragrance oil is 188 degrees. So now you need your pouring pitcher, your silver pouring pitcher, and we're gonna pour this. Now be very careful if you do have one of these pots. It will be extremely hot. And I know y'all are wondering why I didn't use the nozzle to just let it pour in by itself, because it's just, to me, it's easier to just pour it like that overhead. And move that out the way so that all the extra wax dripping does not hit my floor, but it just hits my station that I have this sitting in. I'll just wipe it down a little bit. Okay. So we now have our fragrance. We now have our wax melted down into this pot. And it is at the perfect temperature to pour my fragrance. So the measurements that go for the jar that I'm using, because I won't be using any measurements in this video, but I'll just give you guys general information. This is an 8-ounce jelly jar. It holds 6.4 ounces of wax and 0.56 ounces of oil. So I am making a half a dozen. So you will multiply that and get your own number. And I don't have a lot of my sweater weather fragrance, so I will be mixing it, because I know that wasn't enough. But I will be mixing it with a sample bottle that I have, which is called Love Spell. They gave me a sample bottle from Candle Science. And these smell pretty similar, so I'm just adding a little bit of this. And that flash point was 200 degrees, so it was fine. It wasn't too hot to pour in. Now we're at the stage where you have to stir your fragrance oil and mix it with your wax for 2 minutes, 2 complete minutes. Like, don't go under 2 minutes. Make sure you are stirring for 2 minutes completely. And I'm gonna just speed that process up so you guys can see it. Okay, now when you're done stirring for 2 minutes, and I really suggest setting a timer for it. When you're done stirring your wax for 2 minutes, you pull your thermometer back out and drop it in. And now pouring temperature when you're pouring inside of your jars is really important as well. So most of the time, you should be pouring at a temperature of 125 degrees, between 125 to 130. And that'll help your candle cool better. It won't be as hot, and like the hotter your candles are when you pour them, the longer it's going to take for them to mold up and cool. So it's just easier to take your time, go along with the steps, don't rush the process at all, and pour at the correct temperature. So my thermometer is slowing down. It's at 127, and I believe it might go over 130. Now if it's about 135, between 130 and 135, you can still pour, but I suggest just staying at the 130 and under range to pour your candles. Okay, y'all, so my candle temperature stopped at exactly 129. I don't know if you guys can see that, because it starts changing. 129. So Now it's going down because I took it out, of course, but we are about to start pouring. So this step can get a little messy too, which is why I suggest wearing gloves. So I didn't add any liquid dye yet because we're making tie-dye candles. So the liquid dye won't be until the end when these candles are done cooling completely. So this is the pouring process. I'm gonna show you guys right quick. So I did not make a complete pour, so I'm gonna fill in my last little candle that I gotta do. So I'm gonna go back in with the same process, and don't be discouraged or upset like, oh, I didn't do a perfect pour. Like, none of that matters truly, especially when you just have to fill in like one candle. So we're gonna just move these to the side and let them cool. You're not hurting your candles by moving them around. Just make sure you don't knock them down or like do a big ass jump, do a big bump to where you're like bumping your candles really bad. Okay, so we are back at the pouring pitcher, and it's just the same steps. So I'm gonna pour the rest of this bag in here, even though I don't need all of this. I'm just pouring the rest in here just because. But this is when you can measure it out, like 6.4, you know, which I won't even pour the whole bag. I'll just complete the candle, to be fair, and to do it the right way. So, and we're letting that heat up and melt down right quick. And it'll be the same exact process. Okay guys, so as you can see, the candles are done molding fully. This is how your candle should look. And we can now remove our wicks. And now we get into the fun part, which is turning these candles from plain to tie-dye. So, about to show you that process right quick. So, I was gonna use something like this, but it just looks too thick to poke the holes, honestly. So, I'm gonna go in with my Therm because it's pointy, and I feel like we'll get a good little poke on the side. If not, we'll have to find something else. But this, take that and try to, oh my God. Okay, I'm back, you guys. So I have to use something else, really. Well, honestly, I'm not gonna use something else. I'm just gonna try to do this. And so you're gonna make 2 slits, and it's like 2 dips, and we can fix the top of the candle after we're like done doing that. So you're gonna do that same step for all of your candles. This one is still kind of like wet, so that worked pretty easy. You make sure you scrape the side. Okay, I'm not about to do this shit. I'm working my thermostat. Oh my fucking. Like, you at least want to get your mark down to this point, at least. Okay. If you can find something better that can poke down more, by all means. But this is the little concept that I'm doing. And yeah, that's how it's gonna be. So, now now that we have done that, whew, now that we've done that, we're gonna go in with our liquid dye, which is the color red. And you're gonna drop a drop on each slide that you put. But that's just because that's how the liquid dye looks. And this liquid dye stains really easily, which is why I went in with a paper towel. But like I said, I recommend gloves. So now when you do that part, you might need a heat gun, a regular heat gun, of course, to then do this. You're gonna heat the top of your candle, and then you're gonna heat it on the side to make this come down. You're gonna heat it on both sides. Wait, did I use brown? I made a mistake and used brown liquid. I did not pay attention fully to what I was pouring. So now I'm gonna go back in and do it again. Which sucks really bad because I just messed these up. But you know, that's a part of trial and error. The candles are still gonna come out really, really cool and dope. So it's okay. But this type of shit happens when you're moving fast and trying to just do things. So yeah, that's pretty much what just happened. I just used the wrong scent, pretty much. You're gonna do that for every candle until your tie-dye is done, pretty much. Okay, and by the finished look, this is how your tie-dye candle should come out looking. The heat is still spreading the tie-dye around. As you can see, all the designs look extremely different. Some of them are still melting down, but all the tie-dye designs look really different. And it's just a cool way to like make cool different design candles with different type of things, you know? And they smell really, really good. This one was like the first one I poured. It kind of didn't do as well. But like that's the point of the trial and error. So this is pretty much how the tie-dyes come out. This one looks pretty good. And this one is probably my favorite. Just because it spread super fast all throughout the candle. And yeah. So now we do have another step left. I'm so sick and tired of this shit just falling all over the place. Like, bro. I'm really sick of this shit. Okay, any fucking way. Oh, woosah. Okay, so there's one last step that we can't forget, which is trimming our wick. My labels for Valentine's Day are not here yet, so I haven't labeled these candles yet, but I would typically, the finished touch would be adding a label to your candle and adding a lid. So there are many different lid options. that you can go with. I typically like the black just because it looks really good. And when you close it, it just looks really nice. And when you open it, it smells really, really good. So, now that the wicks are trimmed, we're gonna let these cool out for a little bit longer. And then I will get them boxed up and bagged up and ready to sell. And then you have your first candle. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And there will be many, many more candle tutorials to come. Please don't forget to check out everything in my description box, my candle business, my Instagram, my website. And it just shows you a little bit more insight on the type of candles I make and different little things. Yeah. So I'm closing this video out. I hope you guys really, really enjoyed this tutorial. It was really quick and easy, fun, and it also showed my trial and error on how things can get messy and confusing, and just things can go up in making candles. It's not super easy as people think. Even this video probably looked extremely easy. It wasn't. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.